highway is like so many others in America. But just off the road, in the small community of Freewood Acres, New Jersey, live a people called Kalmyks, who are not so typical.
The Buddhist religion is a very important factor in our life. It always was and it always will be.
They are Mongols, racially akin to the great Genghis Khan.
Our original homeland is located in Jungaria, a northern part of the Chinese province Xinjiang in Central Asia. The Kalmyks raised most of all horses and then sheep and camels. It was quite common that an ordinary Kalmyk would possess several hundred sheep and perhaps 10 to 20 horses.
Many centuries ago, they were converted to Buddhism by Lama priests from Tibet. Today, half a world away from Jungaria, in the state of New Jersey, the Kalmyks maintain their Lama Buddhism, looking to the Dalai Lama for spiritual leadership. Indeed, the present Dalai Lama's brother, Norbu, is an honored guest at Kalmyk ceremonies in Freewood Acres. It is the spring festival, Urusova, a feast of fertility and promise. They are doing homage to Mader, the Buddha who is to rule the next cycle of the universe. Nearby, a learned Kalmyk monk and scholar, Geshe Vanjal, runs a small monastery built with his own hands and those of his disciples. Here have come young Tibetan lamas who are considered to be reincarnations of saintly ancestors. And local Kalmyk boys are trained in the religion of their people. But religion and sociability go hand in hand. A sacred observance is also a pleasant chance for Kalmyk friends to get together.
We already witness interracial marriages among our people here. I hope our wedding ceremonials will be preserved.
This young man is marrying outside the group to a girl of Armenian and Tartar descent. The music is Russian. Indeed, Russia was their home for centuries.
I speak Russian, German, Kalmyk, Mongol, and a little bit English.
The many languages they speak reflect their historic wanderings. Let us start at the beginning. In Jungaria, more than 300 years ago, the Kalmyk Mongols were nomads, herdsmen roaming the plains of Central Asia.
The ancestors of the Kalmyk people were not in good terms with their neighbors, chiefly with the Chinese. There had been many wars between them. And they were looking for more lands for their cattle. So the ancestors of the Kalmyks left their original homeland in Jungaria. Their migratory movement westward took a long time, and they reached the Volga River in 1630s. More than 1 century, they were able to maintain their independence from the central Russian government in Moscow. But in the 18th century, they were compelled to recognize the central government, and they became Russian subjects. They were not pleased with their life in Russia. They didn't want to be Russian subjects. And so in 1771, our ancestors entered another migratory movement eastward this time, that is back to their original homeland, Jungaria. It was a very long journey, and our people suffered tremendously.
More than 200,000 Kalmyks perished from disease, icy winter, and the attacks of hostile tribes.
This was a great exodus, a tragic one.
A small part of the original group remained behind in Russia, along the banks of the Volga. They accepted Russian authority, and Kalmyk horsemen fought for the Tsar against Napoleon. As the years passed, they cherished their language, their ancestral ways, and their Buddhism, looking always to Tibet as their spiritual homeland. Their peaceful life was interrupted in 1917 when Russia became communist.
The Kalmyks didn't want to recognize communism, and many Kalmyks were compelled to flee Russia further westward, chiefly to Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, France, and Czechoslovakia. This was the third migration of the Kalmyk people. When the Second World War erupted, the Kalmyks were again compelled to flee further westward to Austria and Germany. After the war was over, the Kalmyks were brought together in a DP camp near Munich. And only in 1951, the Kalmyks were given an opportunity to leave Germany for the United States.
And so they are living in America, about 1,000 in all, in New Jersey and in Philadelphia. They are prospering. Many have built their own houses. They are running their own businesses, working at all kinds of jobs. The Kalmyks are good builders. Preferring to work independently, they often take on building contracts, hiring their friends and relatives. But the building they would most like to build is a temple. An exact copy of one erected by a Chinese emperor in the 18th century to honor the return of the Mongolian tribes to China. They display a model of this ornate temple and are raising funds to build it in Freewood Acres, just as, nearby, the Russian community has built its traditional house of worship. Christians and Buddhists, the cemetery which the Russians and the Kalmyks share reflects the closeness of their historic ties. Refugees from Russia and Eastern Europe have been settling in this area for decades. One reason why the Kalmyks came to Freewood Acres. The older generation of Kalmyks, with their memories of war, exile, and hardship, are comfortable in America. Some do not speak English, but they are continuing to use native skills, maintaining the traditions of worship, and influencing family life. Looking ahead, how will American life affect the new generations of Kalmyks?
Our youngsters are becoming more and more Americanized. All of them go to American public schools. It will be a very difficult task for the Kalmyks in the United States to preserve their old traditions and customs. Everything around them is American. They play with American children. In some 10 to 15 years from now, our children will almost completely become Americanized. I believe, however, that some of the old customs and traditions will be preserved.
If you ask them, the Kalmyks would say their wanderings are over.
Our past history witnessed several migrations, westward, eastward, further westward. The Kalmyks always sought freedom. Life in America satisfies the Kalmyks because we enjoy a complete freedom.
order oczy. Высокончила.
We can have our temples nobody interferes in our life. Nobody tells us what to do. We have no fear of anything. These are the things we were looking for and which we found here in the United States. And we don't anticipate any more migrations.
It is here that they want to build their beautiful temple.